Every physical structure is meticulously engineered to ensure stability. Yet the teams tasked with designing those structures often operate in a state of chaotic volatility. Firms calculate physical load paths down to the millimeter to guarantee a building will not fail under environmental stress. But designers also operate on hidden interpersonal frameworks, psychological load paths. These dynamics dictate how a team communicates and whether they hold together under project pressure. Leaving these human dynamics to chance introduces project friction, missed deadlines, and eventual staff burnout. To engineer the team, leadership requires a diagnostic tool as rigorous as the software used to model structural steel. That tool is the Enneagram. The Enneagram is a dynamic, heavily researched psychological blueprint that moves past the limitations of static personality tests. The system maps out predictable human behaviors, exposing the deep motivations and subconscious stress responses that drive professional performance. Mastering these 9 archetypes moves team cohesion from an unpredictable variable to a controlled asset, providing the strategic framework necessary to realize a firm's brand potential. Constructing this model requires starting at the foundation, much like drafting a building's footprint. The base structure is a circle representing the collective organization. It is trisected into 3 distinct zones, known as the centers of intelligence. The first zone is the head center, which governs individuals who process information through intellect, rigorous reason, and logic. The second zone is the heart center. This drives team members who filter their environment through emotions and relational connection. The third zone is the body center, driven by sensations, instincts, and immediate gut reactions. A core operational vulnerability emerges because every architect, contractor, and client relies heavily on just one of these 3 centers, while neglecting the others. This imbalance functions as an unconscious survival strategy, a coping mechanism developed early in life to navigate one's environment. When a project team brings misaligned centers of intelligence to a meeting, standard communication fails. This blueprint allows leadership to translate different operational languages before a project begins. This geometry creates a foundational blueprint consisting of 9 specific numerical archetypes spaced along the perimeter. In a high-stakes business setting, these 9 ego fixations manifest as predictable professional strengths and critical blind spots. We can observe this by examining a specific leadership cluster, often found running design teams, types 8, 7, and 3. This dataset highlights a shared business objective among these types. They are uniquely calibrated for forging the path, driving projects forward through obstacles. However, their methods diverge when faced with setbacks. They process negative emotions, like the fear of a looming deadline, in sharply different ways. The Type 8 asserter manages the threat by expressing negative emotions directly and forcefully to maintain control. The Type 7 enthusiast handles that pressure by avoiding the negative emotion, forcing an immediate pivot toward extreme positivity and new ideas. The Type 3 achiever contains the emotion entirely, internalizing the stress to protect their outward image as a successful professional. Recognizing these distinct behavioral responses prevents leadership from pigeonholing staff. It allows project managers to deploy precisely targeted support when a team encounters friction. The Enneagram's diagnostic utility is driven by the hidden kinetic pathways connecting its 9 points. These are the internal vectors, indicated by the arrows crossing the center of the diagram. These vectors chart predictable behavioral shifts triggered by either severe stress or emotional security. Consider an assertive Type 8 design lead facing a catastrophic project delay. Following the stress vector, the aggressive Type 8 retreats, adopting the secretive, detached, and isolated traits of a Type 5. Now observe the inverse, that same Type 8 lead after securing a major contract win. Feeling secure, they access the protective, caring, and supportive traits of a Type 2. Decoding these stress vectors allows a firm to anticipate how a team member will react under pressure, repairing points of failure before the psychological load path collapses. Zooming out from the individual, these dynamics scale to govern the macro mechanics of an entire architectural firm. Operating through this lens introduces a philosophy of strengths in numbers. True leverage comes from calibrated collaboration, aligning the right archetypes to the right challenges. Applying this system replaces inefficient one-size-fits-all management methods with a strategy tailored to individual psychology. The impact extends to client relations. Calibrating your pitch to a client's specific focus of attention accelerates consensus and builds immediate trust. The Enneagram functions as a high-precision operational manual for navigating the human ego in professional environments. Integrating this dynamic blueprint elevates a firm's brand from delivering good design to mastering the human architecture required to build it.